to the first ever live streamed episode of the Crypto Gaming Institute. I'm your host, Ben Gothard, and today we have the honor of speaking with the founders of Liquid, Trang and Corvin. How y'all doing today?
Good. How
I'm
are
fine.
you?
I'm fine.
It is such an honor to have y'all here, and really excited to be testing out this live stream format. So thank y'all for being willing to play around with this with me. So, I just want to kind of set the stage here. I really want to talk about y'all's story, how you got to where you are, and then really what you're tackling and what you're doing with Liquid, and really explore the project, and then late game, all pun intended. Definitely want to talk about the metaverse and where y'all see that going. So I'll zip it now, and I'd love to hear y'all's story.
Okay, well, let's see. Cora and I have been in this space for a long, long time, and we've crossed paths a few times. And a few times we've advised on a few projects. Cora and I always refer to him as like the Walt Disney of tech. He can build anything, and he's very creative. And it's really a lot of pleasure to work with him and watch his brain work in like 7 different directions and just hammer it down. In tech, we say there's a hammer and there's um, the tinkerer, and I would definitely say that Corvin is 100% hammer. So yeah, so there's that, and then we met and we were discussing. We have very similar values, and understanding of like how life should be, and transparency and trust and whatnot in corporations. And we've been on both sides. Both of us worked for corporations and crazy bosses and fun startups and whatnot. And then we decided, like, hey, let's do this. And Corbin had this game and this idea for a number of different facets of what Liquid is, and we just combined forces. Is that pretty accurate, Corbin?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. We are here for years, being friends for years, working with and in the community for years. I personally see myself as a problem solver. I'm a developer, and it's like, yeah, my daily job is to solve problems on a technical level. And Chan is probably the problem solver for business challenges. And yeah, that's what we are doing for years in this community. Um, and yeah, a year ago, we decided to start our own business based on our experience and ideas, and yeah, to make it a thing, and to deliver our values and ideas and inventions to the community, and let the community benefit from what we're doing. And now we're here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love it.
Should we, so Liquid, should you give you some background on what Liquid does? So
Mhm.
I know that everyone's talking about these games, and there's these shops that have like one game and that's their thing. So ours is not that. So I'll make that very clear. And I know Corbin's like, yes, 100%. It's no slam to anybody who's just doing a game. That's great. But really, it's all about the community. So we know a lot of developers. We come from that background. We come from tech, and I'm sure you know, understand Ben, I'm talking about. So we build tools for game developers, and we build games, and we're a block producer for Wax. And Corbin can go; he knows Wax very well. We've been doing it for close to a year, and we've been asked to block produce for another chain. And so have a few things going on in our wheelhouse, and we consult for anybody who doesn't understand blockchain and wants to get into it and understands the power of it. So I'll go high level there, and I'll let Corbin like dissect that, get more
Yeah,
technical.
I would say we basically started with this idea of building blockchain games, um, yeah, months before the NFT hype and the
Yeah.
and the decentralized gaming hype started, um, because we saw the potential to let traditional gamers benefit from everything that comes with decentralized applications. And then over time, when we were discussing and planning again, we saw the potential that while building these games, we could, whenever we solve a specific problem, just put it into a tool, into an SDK or plugin, and at the same time, while we are building games, we could enable others to do what we do. And we could not only bring traditional gamers, but also traditional game developers to this community this way, and even kind of grow this economy, this system much more than just by building a single game. Yeah, and then over time we were kind of offered, or people came to us and said, hey, this is so cool what you are doing. Why don't you participate in governance of these blockchains? Why don't you try to become a block producer? You clearly have the technological experience. You know how to handle these chains and the infrastructure to produce blocks, to validate the blockchain. You could get a position, and so we did. And it took a few weeks, and we came into this first block producing spot, and this all led into a nice position of the company in general, with these different sections of the company: the governing part, the validation part, the economy building or community building path, the game itself or future games, which is quite interesting and a lot of fun. And we believe we can bring a lot of benefit to diverse communities this way.
Yeah.
That's
our favorite blockchain is, just so you know, the one that we're talking about is Wax. Do you know much about Wax, Ben?
I am definitely going to do more research because I don't know enough.
Okay.
It's currently, I think it's place 85 on CoinMarketCap.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks ago, it was place 70 or something like that. We are also very active on EOS. Wax is also an EOS.io based chain.
Yeah.
The protocol is the same. It's with some modifications. We are active block producer on another EOS.io based chain. We will try to become a block producer on EOS as well. And we've been asked by 2 other EOS.io based chains to become validator or block producer there as well. I don't want to advertise Wax too much, but the name comes from Worldwide Asset Exchange. The creators behind Wax saw the potential of NFTs like 2 or 3 years ago and created Wax for that reason. And today it's one of the most used chains when it comes to NFTs. It's super cheap. Transactions are free. Resource costs are very low. There's a lot going on. I can only recommend to take a look.
Not these crazy
and
buying.
Especially in the decentralized gaming space, there's a lot happening.
I love that. I think one of the most awesome parts of all of technology is kind of encapsulated what you were saying. A couple weeks, we had this idea, and then a couple weeks later it was done, and you had gotten in with with one of those chains, and got deeply integrated so quickly. To me, that's one of the most beautiful parts of this whole space, is just how rapidly everything moves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so cool. So I
And
love how y'all are
all the time, right?
exactly.
But that's also challenging.
Right.
Yes.
Right. But that's why I like y'all's model of, you're not just a game studio, you're not just a game, but you're building tools, and you're participating in actual governance, and you're a game studio, and you're building a game and games and whatnot. So that to me is really, really exciting. So when you first were getting into the world of like game development and building the game, because it seems like that kind of came first, and then you were, all these other things kind of grew organically from that. What was that impetus for the game? Like, why did that, of all things, call to you, and then how did the team really rally behind that?
I would say it started already 3 years ago when I saw different games on blockchains, and I always thought that can't be everything. I personally just thought there must be ways to do better, and I tried to find solutions for the typical problems. That's where it all started. So I spent nights, weeks, months on trying to find solutions for individual problems, and a few of them are still unsolved, but a lot of them we found solutions for. And this is kind of where everything started to grow. it really started with the idea of just finding solutions for typical problems in this space. My favorite thing is procedural mesh generation on blockchains. That's hard to explain. But typically, when you buy an NFT somewhere, a 3D model, some 3D representation of a building or whatever, an animal or something like that, then it's really just, it's a checksum. It's a content identifier that you buy, where on chain there's a row saying this account is the owner of the asset behind this checksum. So to interact with the checksum or with the content identifier is very hard, because there's not much information stored. There's no, you can't kind of get properties, attributes out of this checksum. Or if you do so, it's very limited. So I came up with the idea of procedurally generating meshes like planets or land to really make the smart contract the brain of everything, and to kind of let the smart contract know much more than what was possible like 1-2 years ago, and also connected to the visual representation. So yeah, that was really one of the biggest initial problems, generating three-dimensional planets or other objects directly on chain, completely randomized. And yeah, today it allows us to build all the game mechanics that our game has on top of it, because the smart contract knows about all these properties, attributes of planets. As a basic example, there are places on a planet where there are trees, and if you want to build a wood mine or wood harvester, and you want to kind of create, how do you say that? If you want the smart contract to validate if you are allowed to build your wood mine near a tree, the smart contract needs to know where there's wood and where not.
Right.
It sounds simple,
Right.
but it's super challenging to put that procedurally generated, randomized onto a blockchain. And that's where we are. Yeah, the smart contract knows where there's wood on a planet and where not, where there are stones, where there's water, and all that. And that's something that's missing in a lot of these other games out there.
There's no rhyme or reason. There's no logic, and so that's the part that I think that Corvin's speaking to. And
Yeah.
you play the game, you go, okay, I get it. Like, it's, you see this, there's a strategy, there's some thought behind it. It's not just like slapped together. And we were really leveraging like the blockchain technology. I mean, Corvin and I were always joking, like, everyone talks about play to earn, which is great, and everybody understands that, and giving, you know, people the ability to earn money to play games. But gamers have always paid to play games, like real gamers. Now, I think the difference with blockchain, I mean, Corvin can speak to this, is that it's not just the ownership, it's the fact that you can't be stopped. Like, if you decide to go to the challenge, you can't, devs don't have a control over it. World of Warcraft, we all talk about that, is a great example. They've shut down so many people, there's so many accounts, illegal versions of their games. And we all say, look, if you walk away from this company or any of these games, you can play them still. They're open. And we're not taking that away from you. We want to be transparent. We want people to have a financial reason to play, and a financial reward, long-term, short-term. Lend it to your kids, to your grandmother, have your grandfather build a game with his grandson, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, this is really open, and it provides a lot of opportunity for everybody. It sounds crazy, but can you imagine during like the holidays, like which are coming up, like everyone's like gathering around, what are they doing? They're building a game. So I mean,
That's what I was thinking.
right?
Like Granny sitting there with her laptop, and you're just like, "Whoa, Granny,
Right.
sweet."
She's like, I put an axe, I'm gonna beat you. Yeah, exactly. Right. And then you can lend these things to people, and you can trade them, and you could have a community. I think that's what we, that's why we're really, like, we're friends. And so it's gathering that. That's why people play games,
Totally.
and then the power of the blockchain. I mean, Corvin can show you when he shows you the game. It's pretty cool.
So let's actually take a step back for a
Yeah.
second and kind of at a higher level, like let's dive into the
Yeah.
game mechanics and how everything works. Like let's break it down. Let's get into it.
Oh, this is Corvin's favorite thing in the world.
Let
You like,
me let me share or let me say a few words
yeah,
first and then share my screen. Um, all this is built with the general idea of building something that traditional gamers want to play, and
Yeah.
it's built with the idea to build a showcase to show traditional game developers out there what's possible on blockchains if you do it right. Many of the developers we spoke to, they want to find a way into this space, but they don't, because they see that they are still so limited. A traditional game developer, they typically don't just want to build a marketplace with limited interaction possibilities. They want to build games. That's what they are after. That's what they love.
Right.
With battles and then like
So
lots of different things you can do, right?
Mhm.
that's yeah, what everything is. The initial idea for. Um,
That's
I was
actually
I was
such an important point. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
No.
this is such a critical point here. I think this is going to be a differentiator between the most successful games out there and
Yeah.
then everybody else is putting the game first and
Yeah.
making it an amazing game first and
Yeah.
foremost, to where gamers would pay for this, even if they would pay for it, and then having the play to earn the financial model of
Yeah.
blockchain as a feature
Yeah.
of a fantastic game. That to me is going to be one of the most important differentiating factors. So to hear y'all approaching that
100%.
from the
I
beginning,
I
really cool.
really like that you're saying this.
Yeah.
That's exactly how we built the game. We spent like
Totally.
the 8 or 9 months on just building game mechanics onto the blockchain
Mhm.
without any token or anything that we publicly call an NFT. We first built all these game mechanics. We currently have 64 different actions in the game, split into 4 different smart contracts, which make this
Cool.
game really a game. You can interact. You can interact in diverse ways. You have to find your personal strategy. You have to take decisions which kind of direct you into different directions when playing. This is what makes the core of a game. It's interaction possibilities.
Yeah.
It's kind of guiding the player through it while letting the player decide which direction he wants to go, and all that. And after 8 or 9 months, we said, now we reached a point where it's really a game, where people have fun. We had a demo with like 150 people of our community, people we know for years, and there was clearly no monetary benefit. There was nothing they could win, and we said we want to demo for a week, and even after 10 days, the demo was still
Yeah.
live. They were playing every day just
Wow.
because they had fun. And
Yeah.
some of them they spent hours every day because they wanted to create the next building, and they wanted to get these resources or a special ship and all that. And that's where the point where we think we can really bring this to the masses.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
and
built in
if you
Unity, just so you know, Ben. And that's
Mhm.
because we
yeah
wanted to be on Xbox and PlayStation. That's on purpose.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, wait, let's even scope out a little bit more. Like
Yeah.
somebody who is not familiar with the game at all, like what's
The
like give us
story.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
introduce us to the world.
So it ties into our name, Liquid, and also obviously Liquid Universe. That basically, when the Big Bang happened, there was a perfect state of liquid that was formed, and from that, the galaxy was born, and hence, Liquid Universe, the universe, right?
Mhm.
So the current galaxy, it's like 2070, is destroyed because you obviously know what we're doing now. I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. And a group of scientists and people have found this black hole and have entered this universe, the liquid universe. And you have an
Cool.
ability to have planets, hopefully make the right choices, to use the resources, the constructibles well, to build your planet, join the right guild. You might pirate from other guilds or do a Robin Hood. I don't know how we're still looking at those mechanics. So yeah, we're in the early stages, and we'd obviously love to invite you, Ben, to the next demo.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I would basically say it's space exploration. It's economical play. You
Yeah.
kind of build your small, that's a bad word, but your small empire. You try to keep your economical influence. You collaborate with other players and form groups and guilds. You have to pick the right factions to
Yeah.
kind of have specific skills. For sure, everything in the game is an NFT. Really, everything, every
Yeah.
ship, every building, every asset, every planet, every resource.
Every astronaut, every commander.
All of it. Yeah, and it's really strategic gameplay with some DeFi components where you can start to lend away your planets or your ships, and all that. Yeah, and
that's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
an MMO game. I'm sure you know. You play. Obviously, you're a gamer. It
Of
seems like
course.
yes. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Of course. Yes, I love games. I grew up playing Diablo 2, into World of Warcraft,
Okay.
into League of Legends, and then all of the like console games, like all the sports games and the racing games, and like the music, Guitar Hero stuff. Like
Yeah. Oh,
I
that's
played it
wonderful.
all. I love it
Yeah.
all. But truly, the MMOs and then things with PvP, and a lot of times those are the ones that capture my heart. Also, the strategy,
Yeah.
like a Total War type of thing. Where you have like your army and you're the commander and you're building your
Yeah.
civilization and you're going. So
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
That's
that's
human
why
nature.
that's one of the reasons I'm so excited about this project, is kind of like all the things come together for me. So I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, this is cool. Cool. So can we see the game? Can we
Yeah.
Yeah.
can
Absolutely.
we take a peek at some
Let me
gameplay?
just a
And
second.
for those who are listening to this on a podcasting platform, definitely stick with us here, but also definitely hop into one of our video based, go to YouTube or something if you want to get the full visual. So I just wanted that
Yeah.
to just put that out there to the world.
And we have short clips on our Twitter channel. We'll be sharing as we like put some together, so you can get an idea of the game as well, of Liquid.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we looking at here?
All right, Corvin.
Yeah, that's one of the planets I was talking about.
Wow.
This planet, the mesh of the planet, the underlying data is completely generated on the blockchain. And basically, this Unity client, this is a WebGL build, is just representing, it's visualizing on-chain data. There's no central server in between which stores these planets or something like that. It's really, as I said, completely decentralized. And the smart contract is aware of all these informations. The smart contract clearly knows where there are trees, where there are these small little stones and all that.
So
So
you're saying within the smart contract, it knows tree number 37,652 is right next to rock
well,
37,444.
it doesn't know the number of a tree, but it knows that there are trees. It's more like a type. Yeah,
Cool.
it knows the next field is a field with trees.
That's cool.
Or it's a field with stones, or on other planet types we have different resources and all that. But I will
Now-
say something on that later.
Mhm.
Now I'm not sure if I'm allowed to place something new with this. Yeah, I have one left. Okay, this is again showcase. It doesn't show these thumbnails for some reason. I'm sorry. It's still a demo.
All good.
You can see.
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
cool.
okay. There's much wood. You can see that these previews are only there where there are trees.
hmm
So if I would try to place a building on a section, like on the bottom, it would fail. And if I place it here, the smart contract validates
hmm
and allows me to place this building there.
So you're basically building out structures that are going to harvest resources for you, and then you
Yeah.
use those resources to go interact with the world in various ways.
Yeah.
Now, a question. If there is a competing empire, can they come in and can they either like destroy your structures and things that you built, or can they take it over? And like how does the PvP mechanic work?
We've been talking about this a lot. If we want to allow players to kind of take over other planets or completely destroy other planets or assets placed on other planets.
Right.
And we decided ownership is such a huge thing on blockchains.
Yeah.
We don't want to destroy anything, and ownership should stay. But we have a feature which is not fully integrated into Unity yet. We have a feature where you can rob other planets and you can steal resources, but only if the player was idle for like 2 hours or something like that. So there's incentive to really play like every 6 hours to claim your resources and all that. And we are also working on combat and war modes where players can fight each other, but we will potentially only allow war and fighting each other when you reach a specific level, because we don't want players on level 12 to fight players on level 1 and
don't want to get
have a
wrecked on
chance to-
spawn.
yeah,
That's
Right.
not fair. It's not fair.
Not fair. So egalitarian, right?
Totally. Now, maybe there could be a mechanic where like there's a certain part of the universe that is more like beginner friendly, where it's like training, and maybe as part of the lore, that's like where the different factions have agreed that there's an alliance here, and to foster the spirit of the universe, we start there, and this is a friendly zone where, but then
A neutral
another
zone?
zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, neutral zone. But then there's outside where people go and like explore, and maybe the rewards are higher. So like maybe they get bonuses to production in the non-neutral territories. And so maybe there are like spaces where they can have different parts. Because there should be like I think there could be a situation or an argument to be made for like if it's a super, super far out planet, and somebody has sent their fleet there and they've conquered it, and they've put in a lot of effort to go get there, and now they have resources. However, somebody else to go fight them also has to go do that, and maybe they could take that over and the PvP could be there, and it's like high risk high reward type of thing, where it's like you're wagering real assets, but the reward is there to make it worth it, or something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, obviously, we'd love to get your feedback when we do the second demo. It's like, I can see you're like knee deep in this. Well, we had talked about, Corvin had talked about like, obviously, we're also having warp gates that you could go into a galaxy that's expiring and try to gather all the resources before the galaxy blows up and implodes.
Oh, cool. Okay, wait, let's talk about that mechanic. How does that all work?
The warp gate mechanics. Trading, as you might imagine, is a thing in this game. Any of these resources that you can mine or produce on these planets, they are tradable. So if I use my iron mine to whatever, it doesn't have health, to mine iron, then I can trade it. Trading basically is based on the formula for how do you say, distance is velocity times time. So every trade takes time because you have to move a specific distance.
Right, it has to go to whoever you're trading with.
Yeah. So by building warp gates and using warp gates, you can kind of jump from one place in the universe to another place. So
now, can factions take over a warp gate, or is a warp gate neutral? Is that protected? Because that could add a whole nother layer of interesting mechanics where like you could have alliances that protect this warp gate for strategic purposes.
There will be guilds who can build warp gates as a group.
Cool.
The idea is we have different factions. You can either be of a thieves faction, or a nomads faction, or a mechanics faction, or whatever. And one of these specific factions is allowed to build a warp gate. If you are in a guild where one of these members is of the specific faction which is allowed to build warp gates, Then as a guild, you can build a warp gate.
Cool.
Now, someone in the guild can propose to build a warp gate. They accept. That's a small piece of governance between within the game. The guild can build the warp gate, and every of the guild members gets a share of the warp gate once they finished it. Now the guild together can define a fee they want to take whenever someone else uses the warp gate. They can define like friendly
So
guilds
cool.
or players which are allowed to use it for free, and yeah, they can generate passive income by kind of providing this warp gate service.
I
If
like that a
you
lot.
don't have fun playing this game anymore, you can just take your share of this warp gate and sell it to someone else. Or on the other side, if you join a guild very early, let's say some favorite company like liquid.io, where many players will potentially join and use our warp gates, it makes sense to join it early, because the potential that many people will use our service is high, and the passive income also. We call this kind of asset just currently just a special asset. These assets that are that guilds can construct. We will have things like carrier ships, dark matter mines, which you kind of can place near the black hole, where guilds together can kind of extract this black magic or black matter or whatever, however we call it, and many more. We are open to all ideas that anyone has in mind. The cool thing is all that we have built so far is built in a way that it's completely extendable. We can say today we have 4 different planet types. We have desert, earth, ice, and lava. And we can say, hey, let's do whatever, a mushroom planet.
Right.
Then we just have to throw a template onto the blockchain. It's defined within 2 days. We define the resources that are mineable and producible. We define the buildings that are placeable on this planet. We throw it onto the blockchain, and from then on, the communities, the players can populate this kind of planet. And what I wanted to say is it's completely extendable, and the same goes
Right.
for these special assets. The same goes for all spaceships and whatever.
Modifiable too, as well, as you're saying.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. So let's talk a little bit about the actual in-game economy and how that relates to the greater economy, of the world. So clearly we have resources here, and it seems like these resources are going to be used to do in-game things. Is there like a currency that can be traded, like with both this within this universe, as well as like on exchanges and stuff, or is it driven purely by the NFTs, or is it kind of somewhere in between? Like, take us through the economics here.
Sure, there is an in-game currency,
Yeah.
which will hopefully be tradable on exchange on exchanges. I'm pretty sure it will.
Yes. Yeah.
What we offer within the game, we thought currency should be a value of exchange, and in the best case, it comes with additional utility.
Of course.
So we basically, the way we started is we implemented something we call barter offers. You can say, hey, I want to trade wood for whatever
Stone.
iron bars, right? Then I say update, it's going onto the chain, and someone else can consume or fill this offer.
Awesome. That's like the
By
that's
the
like
way,
the World of
by the way,
Warcraft auction house.
everything you do within the game is going onto the chain, right?
Perfect.
It's just that you don't really notice it because it's so fast and comes with so low latency. So we have the barter offer section, and then we also have the currency for resource section, where players can just say, hey, I want to have 0.000 leak. That's a temporary token and icon just for testing
Sure.
for 2 wood. And
That's
I click on
magnificent.
update. It's going onto the chain.
I see it. I see it. I love it. So let's talk about the actual like the token itself, right? I see that some games have come into an issue where the token is inflationary, and so players are able to earn. They're able to, like, it works how it's supposed to work within the game. It's traded outside of the game, but the value of that currency goes down over time just because more and more and more and more and more are minted over time. So how have you thought about that? How have you dealt with that? And, kind of give us a snapshot of that whole situation.
Yeah, first of all, I would say it's a huge problem that many of these games are highly inflationary.
Totally.
Typically, a lot of these gamified DeFi apps, which I wouldn't even call games, they work like the more you have, the more you get.
Yeah, collectibles.
High inflation, and the more you have, the more you get from this high inflation. Our game also for sure has inflation, and inflation itself is not ultimately bad. Inflation can also mean that the tokens created are spread to real users, so you can kind of how do you say that?
You're like rewarding
Like,
activity.
you can like
Yeah.
reallocate. You can reallocate,
Reissue. Yep.
reissue parts of the currency of the tokens to real users. So what we do is that we have a challenges engine. Okay, there are currently only level challenges in there, but basically it's the same as we have on the left, we have on the right for tokens, where players can complete challenges.
And earn.
So they really have to play, and then they get a specific amount of tokens, which in the end means that always real players are rewarded with newly issued tokens. So the inflation, instead of just going to people which
The roof.
already hold tokens, goes to real players. In addition, we will also have 3 different staking mechanisms. There are various options in the game where, just a second, where you can make specific transactions instant. As I said, time is a thing. So if I say I want to mine something for 3 hours, I have to wait. I could
Right.
also say, hey, I want to make it instant. I pay a small fee so that I get these resources instantly. And then this fee is redirected into a pot, and this pot is shared with stakers.
Awesome.
So we're trying to create this liquidity everywhere, where tokens, the currency is really used, and stakers then can earn this kind of passive income. There will be 2 other staking pots where players can stake to participate in governance. There will be a huge DAC or DAO behind this game. As you see, with my wood mine, I can mine wood. If you build an economy into the game, there is a high potential that there will be situations where wood, for example, is a highly inflationary asset, because everyone, for whatever reason, has built a wood mine, and wood becomes worthless. So that's a situation where potentially we need to scale the economy. But as a company, we don't want to be the single governing part. We don't want to take these decisions.
Of course.
The great benefit of the decentralized space is that we can give this power to the players.
Yeah.
We can let the players govern the economy, and the way it will work is that we have this DAC or DAO where players can vote for custodians. We call them guardians of the galaxy internally. Um, and then these custodians can vote on how they want to scale the economy, into which direction.
Mhm.
If there's too much wood, they could say, hey, let's decrease the amount of wood that a wood mine mines. And then it's fair
Cool.
for everyone because everyone is mining a bit less. And if players are not fine with this kind of governance, they can still just vote for someone else who again increases the wood mining rate. And this governing part is based on staking, and then we have a third staking mechanism
Mhm.
where players can stake and directly vote for features
Oh, that's cool.
without custodians. So
So
when
they're putting their wallets. They're voting with their wallets basically for new features.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we really want to empower the players, the game developers, to like join this eco system and really see like why we built and use blockchain and Unity as our
Mhm.
game engine. 'Cause there's so much potential, and people are just touching the surface. And I know money is a big thing for a lot of people, but games are not just about that. You know, it's about having a good time, and you can learn. And financial inclusion is a big thing for both of us in literacy. Kids can learn how about yield and about savings, and that would
Mhm.
that's a huge game changer.
And governance and asset
Yeah,
allocation and how to run an economy, how to build
it's
an
yeah,
empire. You learn a lot from that.
yeah,
So I totally agree with you. So I want to dig into the still this topic of inflation a little bit too. Are there any like burning mechanics or deflationary tactics in place, or like if no, how do you make sure that the actual currency that is kind of driving the ecosystem, like how does that still retain value as the inflation is happening?
So far, there's no real deflationary process in place. We believe that the best way to create a fair price for the currency and to keep a price stable is by creating demand. So it's always a question of how the demand matches the supply.
yeah.
Mhm.
And by putting as much utility behind the token as possible,
Totally.
Yeah,
and by
it's
that
not
I
just a
mean
one-shot deal.
that you can use it everywhere in the game. You can
Yeah,
use it for these three staking options. You can use it for these instant things. You can use it for trading. You can use it for lending and borrowing your assets. You can use
use
it
it for voting,
everywhere.
obviously. Yeah,
Um, yeah, you can use it everywhere. Um, by that, we believe we are able to create a high demand for the token and a demand that matches the increasing supply. And it's a question of game mechanics and difficulty curves. By that I mean the better you get in the game, the higher level you reach, the higher levels you reach, you have to spend kind of parts of the tokens you earned if you still want to proceed. Um,
to the
it's
next level. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's trying to kind of taking the traditional free to play model and putting it onto the blockchain. But in this case, free to play, where at some point you have to spend in game currency to make a process, means that kind of every player is rewarded with the tokens that someone spends by staking and by this pot, which then redirects the currency again to the players and all that. Um,
I mean
yeah,
the
so
goal is really to have
it's
a
hard
real
to
economy,
it's
right?
Right.
yeah
Yeah,
it's hard to explain, but
No, you're doing a
because
great job.
yeah.
it's so complex. But we really think putting utility behind the token and putting usage behind it and really make it a value of exchange That's the solution to inflation. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
And as I said, I think, especially in the gaming world, inflation is good because it means you reallocate the tokens to real users over time.
Keeps people on their toes.
Yeah.
Because if you're not playing, you're not going to be able to participate in the increased rewards. So it's actually, it seems like it's
hoarding resources, right?
exactly. So it's a rewarding activity, which I think is interesting. You know, I mean, this is my life. I love crypto gaming, and like, I'm so fascinated by, because everybody has their own thesis of like,
Yeah.
how do we keep the value? How do we make this super valuable? How do we add utility to it? I'm very, very interested to see how this thesis plays out in the macro term. I mean, I'm very, very excited about it.
I mean, we had these discussions, and
As are we.
it would be super easy to say that whenever someone sells or buys something, we take a small fee and burn it. And we discussed it, and we really believe supply and demand is the key to this, creating demand
Totally.
demand everywhere, and then you don't have to burn these tokens.
Yeah.
And the beauty is, because it seems like everything is going to be decided by the DAO, or the decentralized
Yeah.
autonomous organization or governance.
Right.
If there ever comes a time where it's like, okay, let's try an addition
Something
to the
different.
thesis, it can always happen that way. So
Right.
it is a self
Governing.
evolving and govern.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it can evolve over time, which is
Yeah.
one of my favorite parts.
Yeah. It's
Cool.
It's also,
That's
it
rad.
would also be super easy to integrate a feature where we say we can enable deflationary processes. We propose it, and the DAC or DAO can just vote for it, and we let the players decide if they want deflationary processes or not.
Yeah.
There's no
Exactly.
reason not to do that.
Exactly.
All we do is make more just the initial state of the game and the initial game mechanics, and how it will look in half a year or a year, we don't know. Yeah.
But that's the fun part. That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
cool part.
absolutely.
The evolving
Absolutely.
is the best part.
Yeah,
Definitely.
exactly. So I want to talk a little bit about how you see esports existing within this universe. How I could kind of see just like the, basic, like, this is how the esports on ramp is going to happen in this universe, is with people who are like gamers and they want their community to see interesting gameplay and be a part of something. And so they're kind of just streaming them playing the game and building the alliances and going to war and thinking through the strategy of building the empire. And then more from that perspective, and like more of a streaming content creator type of esports play. But maybe there's something else that I don't know. So like, how do you see that participating or being an important part of your ecosystem?
I mean, what's interesting about that, it's like esports right now is very expensive,
Right.
to join these teams, right?
Oh, okay. That's what I was gonna. Okay.
Right.
Mhm.
So, I mean, with blockchain, a lot of, which is a great opportunity, is that you have these scholarship programs and you have people who can join. And since we're building on Wax, it's very scalable and it's not very expensive. So I think that would be something to look at, that's different, is that the cost to do this kind of esport, these tournaments, these big global events wouldn't have the same cost, and the reach is greater.
Well, like with tournaments, I'm thinking like specifically in this game, like with your game, like what would the tournaments actually look like, or like what does that look like in the?
We are also working on a combat mode, something battle royale like, where multiple guilds will join kind of a map, a field, where they fight each other, with their spaceships. But that's the next problem we are currently trying to solve. We are thinking about really like
Cool.
100, 150 players joining the same field and fighting each other, which in theory means you have to send hundreds of transactions a second to the blockchain, which is even too expensive for us as a block producer. But
Well, maybe
we
now,
believe,
but in the future.
but
Yeah.
just as I said, we believe we can fix it. And we already have a prototype where it looks like we are able to fix it by using WebRTC and doing something we call WebRTC based multi-signature transactions, where guilds kind of broadcast their transactions or their actions within the game with each other, and they form something like a small consensus within each other. They all sign the same transaction, like let's say 15, 20 players, and they all form a consensus on the current state change, and then they push one transaction to the blockchain together. They all
That's
sign
cool,
it,
huh?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
20 people, and then we can completely reduce the costs that come with such a game, or such a variation of a combat mode. And so far we're still working on it. It will take some time. What we believe that way we can really fix the next big thing, and find a solution for the next big
I
problem.
think Ben wants to be a guardian of the galaxy. I feel it.
Uh,
The guardian
oh,
of the universe. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now is that
100%.
feature going to become a tool? Because I think that's actually going to solve a huge
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
an
yeah,
SDK,
Um,
yes, absolutely.
I mean, it's
WebRTC.
almost like a scaling solution within the game. Like it's player based scaling. Like the more players you have, they can kind of come together and group their transactions. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not a
absolutely.
programmer, so my knowledge of getting super technical, that's why I like to speak with really smart people like y'all. But it almost seems like this is kind of the idea of a roll up in the game. It's like you're rolling up all these
That's
transactions into one, and then
I wouldn't call it a roll up, but it's you can
Close.
like a
it's close.
batch.
It's
Like you're
close. It's
batching
close.
them together in like a group, and then that's a single.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah. And for
Awesome.
sure, it will become a tool. WebRTC based multi-signature transactions will become a tool. Unfortunately, it's not possible on any blockchain out there, and so we haven't made that clear. But we are chain agnostic. It's just that we are currently specialized on WAGs and EOSIO based chains, but in the future we definitely want to build on other chains as well. It's one feature that comes with EOSIO based chains, that multi-signature transactions are inbuilt into the protocol. You can just sign one and the same transaction with 10 different users or accounts, and then validate that it was signed by them.
I love it. I love
And
it.
that really, with WebRTC based multi-signature transactions, in combination with that, it opens us up a lot.
A lot of
We are
possibilities.
also working. We are also working on a chat system, also based on WebRTC, where you can just ping another player, which maybe is near your planet. You see he has whatever gold, and you have silver, and you want to trade with him. So you ping him. You say, "Hey, do you want to trade some silver for some gold?" And then you basically do the same. You find consensus between each other. You propose a transaction. The other side co-signs it. It's multi-signature. You send it to the chain. It's getting validated, and it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all this in a completely decentralized way.
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
So, I really appreciate
I
y'all's
wanted to.
time
I
this
wanted
far.
to say.
Oh,
I wanted to say one thing about the esports. The combat mode is one thing that we are building.
Right.
I think and hope that the functionality that we are building with guilds, and that this is a strategy game, that people can kind of become influencers because they are playing with a specific strategy. They go on YouTube, or they join these live
Discord.
sessions
Yeah.
on Discord or Twitch or something like that. They show how they play. They show their strategy. They show their thoughts behind, and offer other players to join their guild, to form collaboration, to form
Yeah.
a group, to
Alliances.
play together,
Yeah.
to align the gameplay, and to move forward together. Yeah.
I love that. And I actually think we're going to see a huge shift in esports. Like right now, it feels like, for example, League of Legends, right?
Right.
The esports scene for League is like the tippy top players, the top
Yeah.
0.00001% of
It's
talent
very
in the
elitist. Yeah.
world. Those are the ones that actually get to participate. But I actually see, like with crypto gaming, everybody gets to participate in esports, and it
Yes.
changes the definition of, instead of like that super high elite thing, everybody's participating, and it's more like, okay, it like, instead of
It's
it
more,
being a macro, instead of like one game at a time or one league or one series or a tournament, it's like over the long run, are you a better player? Are you more consistent? Is your guild smarter and can
yeah.
outmaneuver the other guilds? And all of that's being streamed, and that is the esports. It's like it takes it from like a multi-day tournament to like a multi-year timeline
Yeah.
almost. And I'm very excited about that too.
And none of that can be changed. That all that data, all that information, someone can't go, okay, we changed our mind. The rules are different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I want to be super respectful of y'all's time. I do want to get a quick, I kind of want to scope out. I want to get a quick take on the metaverse just as a whole. Like, where are we going? What's it going to be like? I've heard answers from it's going to be super strange. We have no idea, to like, I don't even want to guess because I'm probably going to be wrong, to like, this is what it's going to be. But what do y'all see as the future of the metaverse?
That's a tricky.
I'm personally
I think it's marketing.
waiting. You first, Chan.
Okay, I think it's marketing. I think it's a great idea. I mean, Corvin can speak to this. Blockchain has a lot of potential in gaming, where it is AAA games that you play that you've referenced. It isn't there yet. It's going to be there. I wonder how much promise people are giving, and people are going to be disappointed. Because I played some of these metaverse games, and no offense, but they're slow, and it's painful. You're just like, oh my god, you're dying. But the idea is awesome. It's awesome. Like, but AR VR was awesome, and no one wants to walk around with those headsets. So I will leave it at that, and I'll let Corey over there.
Yeah, I think what we currently see is just the tip of the iceberg. Metaverses are here to stay, definitely. They will become part of our lives probably over the next 20, 30 years, whatever. We will become used to where we are, glasses and whatever. But when it comes to the blockchain space and decentralized metaverses, I'm really waiting for inventions. I'm waiting for people which bring this to the next level. Most of today's metaverses are, to be honest, they are 95% 95% centralized.
Yeah.
Typically, there is centralized software running on some centralized server, maintained by a company behind these centralized servers. Then most of the time, there's just a decentralized marketplace where you can buy some specific asset, and you can kind of place it within this centralized architecture and this centralized software. And while I don't want to say that these companies are malicious or harmful, or that they will ever be, there will be cases where these companies are going bankrupt, or where the governance comes and says, hey, this is not allowed, shut down your servers. And the players which invested or which just created value by playing, they will lose. And I think we are not there. We are definitely not there. I'm waiting for inventions and people bringing this to the next level. I mean, things like walking around in the metaverse, interacting with objects in the metaverse. That's all completely centralized currently. I don't know any application where it's really decentralized, provable, transparent, immutable, and all that. But it should be. It definitely should be, in my eyes. But I also think it's just a matter of time. It will come.
Like you said, tech moves very fast.
Right.
If no one else is building it, we will do.
We will. Yeah.
Maybe the next project next year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just really excited because it is so early, And
Yeah.
yes, it's like, a lot of projects are making grand promises. I feel like everybody's inner marketers kind of getting the best of them. We want to
Yeah.
promise the world, and it's like, okay, well, we got to still deliver, because if we
Yeah.
make promises and we get people in and then they're disappointed and then they leave, it just makes it
Yes.
take longer for the whole wide world. So like, there's totally so much attention focused right now. And I think valuations are just going absolutely crazy.
Oh,
So a lot of money's coming into the space, but it's
yeah.
like, okay, well, we got to have to be responsible with that, and we have to channel that in a good, productive way, so that we can keep all the interest and keep the capital here and keep people focused on like, hey, this is where we're going. Look at the progress we've made so far. I hope there's not as big of a reckoning as there could be, because when people realize, hey, some of the really, really amazing games are like a couple years from being like fully like they are on
Ready.
console,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens there. But to me, the exciting part is we are so early, which means
Yes.
we who are the movers and shifters of the metaverse, we get to
Have an
build it into
opportunity.
what we want.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
We have the opportunity to create the world, the metaverse that we dream of, that we envision. And that to me is the most exciting
Right.
part.
No matter who tries to buy it, the people who are going to run it are the people who are the devs, and that's 100% true. And everybody knows that.
I always wish that days would have like 48 hours instead of 24, so that I could work on all these different things at the same time. Unfortunately, I can't.
Maybe there's a need for the ability to somehow program a bot to be able to create and produce just like you, so you can multiply yourself, and then you can be able to work on multiple things all at the same time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a function that needs to exist in the world. I'm not sure, but anyways, y'all, I'm so excited that
Thank you,
we got
Ben.
to have
This
this
has been a lot of fun.
conversation. I'm super very grateful for your time.
I think we should maybe come back when the game is in a different state where we really could play and
do a battle with your guild.
Yeah.
do a walkthrough also. We play
fun.
together. We play together and trade a few resources, or join a guild together, build a war gate or whatever. Yeah.
Look, now I will say, I'm the most competitive person on this planet. I'm not taking it easy on y'all just because I like you. Like, I know we're friends and all, but when it comes down to the empire building, it's war.
It's war. It's all or nothing. I got it.
That's right. Well, y'all, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. I want to thank you for not only sharing everything that you have, but sharing a significant amount of time, and then also, being willing to be some of the first ones to test out this whole live streaming situation. So this has been a whole lot of fun. Super appreciative of y'all. Where can people go to learn more about y'all and the project and get involved?
You can go to our website, liquid.io, liquiid.io. We will launch the game website soon as well, so you'll learn about that. You can look at our Twitter, because we have clips of our game. We have articles on Medium to explain the space as well, because we're going to be running a Mindbender Monday series. Because a lot of people don't know what an NFT is, a lot of people don't know what financial literacy. So we're going to do a few articles and keep, the education part is a big thing. And
don't forget, we are also preparing like a knowledge base for developers, where we list all the different plugins and SDKs and examples and tutorials, and explain what we do, how we do, our experience with different things to enable others. Coming soon.
Yeah.
First
you can call it the Liquid Bible, the Liquid Quran, so that grandma and granddaughter can play and develop games together. That's the end goal.
Awesome. I love it. Well, again, thank y'all so much for coming on the show. To everybody who's watching and listening, thank you all. Game on. I will see y'all on the next episode. Take care now.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for having us.